Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope. Thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our websites, on the contribution pages at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who use the QR codes or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your continued support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And I want to remind everyone, we want to stay connected with you throughout the week. Tune in to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. Now, I want to take a moment to say we pray and trust that everyone celebrated Mother's Day, honored our mothers, and we want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of you. Hopefully you enjoyed that day and had a great time. We had a great and glorious time at New Life Christian Center at 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809, where New Life men were cooking. I'm sure some of you saw the post on Facebook where all of the men at New Life Christian Center, we cooked and served the women lunch. Had a blessed luncheon after service. So we do that every year. And of course, if you're in our area, we will always invite you to come and worship with us, come and experience a better quality of life. And then on a day like yesterday, you will experience cuisine prepared by the men of New Life Christian Center. So we had a great time, and hopefully you did too. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that due to my response, you said, regarding some of the communications that came in, you said you heard me say that it's important that we do not waste time. And you said, based on my response, you now are feeling as though you are starting to feel that you waste time, and you said a significant amount of it. And you want to know, how do you stop wasting time? So let me first begin by saying this, and this is important for all of us, because time is something that we never get back, and we need to make certain that we are getting a return on the investment of our time that God gives us every single day. So I want to make sure that we're clear on the importance of our time, but the first thing I'm going to say to you is that the fact that you are starting to realize that you are wasting time means that you're doing exactly what the Bible says do, and that is let a man or woman examine themselves. So it's real important that we all look at where we are in our lives and what we're doing in our lives. The key here is to stop wasting time, is to manage your time. So time management is a crucial component to all of our lives to make certain that we get a return on our investment of our time. So let's focus on that for a moment as we go through this particular communication. And I will say this to you. There are some specific things that you can do to manage your time, and that is, first of all, schedule out your entire day. So many of you have heard me say this before. You may have heard me talk about this, and that's the reason that you said in my previous response. But here's the reality. One of the things I tell people all the time is I schedule everything in my day for 2 hours except for one thing. And that one thing is to study the scriptures for 3 hours. Everything else gets 2 hours of my time a day. And the reason is because I understand that there are 5 major components to business. And if you allocate 2 hours per component, that's a 10-hour day with you may want to impose a necessary stop time, because I know a lot of us, we don't really stop at 10 hours, but at least you have a guideline and a goal, and that is, and I'll go through those components in a moment, but there's 5 major components to business. 2 hours per component is a 10-hour workday. But even before we go through that, I'll give you a very simple method of making certain we're not wasting time, and that is this. During those 5 components of the day, and that's not to say you can't take a break, and while you're on your break, you can add another device in, but try to work from one device throughout the day, or at the very least work from one device in each of those segments of business. And what I mean by that is work from your laptop so that you can navigate the documents you need to navigate, unless you're proficient at navigating them on your phone. And if that's the case, then use your phone, but as the one device. But you want to use one device during the course of those 5 segments of business, which is a 10-hour workday. And the reason is because if you're switching from device to device, there's more chance of you getting distracted by something on one of those devices. So you got to really make sure that you limit what comes into you during the course of those 10 hours, so that you don't become distracted, so that you don't waste time. So the 5 components of business that many of you have heard me talk about is there's administration, there's development, there's management, there's marketing, there's operations. You have to have a plan of action for the day, and stop multitasking. But let me just walk you through these segments. The administration is going to require you to focus on just that segment of business for 2 hours, whatever that looks like. Because for many of us, it's different things. It may be paying bills. It may be, managing some aspects of our household. It can be anything that requires your administrative skills for 2 hours. Development. How are you developing yourself? Now, I use an example, because I'm a pastor, I use an example of reading scriptures. You've got to decide what your development is. If it's, working out for an hour, reading scripture for an hour, that's fine. But you have to be working on development of some type. It could be business. It could be, developing your pipeline of business, your book of business. It could be anything. But development is the key. You've got to give it 2 hours of every day. Management. You may have to manage other people. And if you don't have to manage other people, you have to manage your own lifestyle. But the management aspect, give it 2 hours. Will there be some overlap in some of those areas? Perhaps so, but that's why you allot 2 hours for each one. If you are working on something for 2 hours that is administrative, and you end up working 2.5 hours because there's an overlap in your development, then you've got 90 minutes left to spend on development. There may be some overlap. So then you've got administration, development, management, marketing. What are you doing to market yourself from a business and professional perspective? How are you branding yourself online? What you're doing with your social media, all of that is part of your marketing. And you got to be real careful to make certain that you are, whatever you're doing online, you're doing it to benefit progress. It's benefiting your business, it's benefiting your personal life, but you don't want to waste time on nonsense because it makes no sense. And then operations. So you've got, whether you're focused on the operations of your business, your professional career, or your home life, you've got operations. You've got to apply those 5 categories to your life, those 5 segments of business, and you will be amazed at the impact that it will have on your success. And then, of course, as I said, you have to have a plan of action for the day. So you've got to know exactly what you're going to do when the day begins until the day ends. And the problem that most people have is they don't plan their day. They may plan to go to work, they may plan to come home, and they may plan to eat dinner or do whatever it is they're going to do in the inner, or to socialize in the evening, socialize in the evening. But they don't really have a plan for the entire day. And that is wasting time, because you're going to spend time trying to figure it out as the day moves forward. So that's time wasted, because there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout the day that will not allow you to establish a plan that you can work. You have to have a plan of action for every single day if you want to become successful and maximize your success and experience the fullness of God. There's no magic to this. It's all about planning the action of the day. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I'm actually going to talk about this in this coming sermon on Sunday, because one of the things we know about God is that he had a plan for every single day. You might say, well, Pastor, I'm not God. I like to see how my day flows. If you wait to see how your day happens, your day is going to happen to you. We have to have a plan of action for the entire day. What is it we're going to do? Now, I want everyone to understand life will happen. Some things will happen that you don't have any control over, that might disrupt the plan that you have for the day, but then you have to include it in your plan for the day. You may have to change something or revise something in your schedule for the day because of something that may occur during the day. You've got to adapt. You've got to make the revisions. You've got to add something into the plan that you already have established for the day. But you still work the plan. And when you work the plan, you know that at the end of the day, you will have gotten most of what you desire to accomplish. Here's the reality. There are going to be some things on your plan of action for the day that you're not going to get accomplished. The good news is you prioritize, and you may move some of those things to the next day. You may move them to the next week. You have to prioritize. but you still have to have a plan of action for the entire day. So one of the things that, and I'll give you a practical example of that. One of the things that I really like to do with my strategic planning for the day is I have my plan, I have my day mapped out, what each of those segments is going to look like. What's my administration for the day? What's my development for the day? What's my management for the day? What's my marketing for the day? What's my operations for the day? I've got a plan of action for the entire day. Now, if you're married with children, your wife might ask you to do something, you have to include that into the plan. If you're a wife, your husband may ask you to do something, you may need to add that into the plan of action for the day. If you have children, you may need to add that into the plan of action for the day. And if they're minor children, you already are clear on their schedule. So that should be part of your day. If they're adult children, you don't really know what their day may look like, but your adult children may call upon you to do something. You may have to add that into the plan of action for the day. But at least you have a plan to work, and you work your plan. So I have that in place for tomorrow. So before I go to bed tonight, I'll review that plan for tomorrow morning. Is there anything I need to tweak? If not, I'm done for the day. I'm ready when the new day begins. We know God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, rested on the seventh. So we know he had a plan for each and every day. We've got to stop multitasking. That's a big time waster, is multitasking. People really believing that they can do more than one thing at a time. It's not that it's not possible for you to do more than one thing at a time. But then we beat ourselves up about not being perfect because it doesn't come out the way we want it to come out, because if you're doing more than one task at a time, what's happening is you're dividing percentage of your time among the task. So if you're doing 2 tasks at one time, which is multitasking, if you're doing 2 tasks at one time, you're not giving either one of them 100%. If you and for most people, let me say this. When they start doing more than one thing at a time, they'll end up doing more than 2 things at a time. They'll start doing many things at once. And that's never going to work out. You're not going to get the best results. And really what it's all about is getting the best results. So, I'm going to encourage you to take a step back, do just what you've been doing, examine yourself, and make decisions on how you're going to plan out your day, the plan of action for the day, all of those segments that we discussed. Manage your time effectively and efficiently. Only try and work on one device at a time. And really begin the process of eliminating both multitasking and procrastination, because both of those are time wasters. It's a waste of time. Because you're never going to get the results that you desire. So let's all do this. Today is a new day, and we are literally coming up on 5.5 months of this year. Let's refocus. Let's not even wait till the end of this month, because we always have a monthly examination of ourselves, where we are, what we've accomplished. That's great. But right now, let's finish this month, the second half of the month strong. Let's really focus on managing our time effectively and efficiently. Let's eliminate procrastination, multitasking. Let's really focus on having good plans for each day for the remainder of this month. Let's really work on doing that. And let's see how much we can really get accomplished by the end of this month. And not for any other reason except it will enhance what we're attempting to accomplish for the entire year. Let's do that. And let's become the best version of ourselves this month that we can possibly become. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I want to remind you that this segment will be brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, where you will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you are in our area, you can simply go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the vehicle the Porsche that you desire to own. And if you're in our area and you currently own a Porsche and are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in scheduling an appointment. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated your husband never likes the men your daughter dates and introduces to you. So she's taken the position of not introducing any man to you until the relationship is serious. You want to know, how do you get your husband to back off? Well, here's the truth. You say to back off and give her some room because you would like to meet the men that she's dating. The problem with that is your husband's not going to back off. And the reason is because he's being a father. You see, when your daughter waits to introduce men to you when the relationship has become serious, it's too late. It's too late because she's already made her decision to become involved in a relationship with the man. And she's now probably in too deep. So she needs to do it sooner than later. And the reason is because your husband's a man. He'll be able to see things that she won't see. And even though you're married to your husband and I'm sure that, reasonably sure that you dated prior to getting married, you've seen men, but you don't know the mind of man. Just like men don't know the mind of women. So he's going to see things that neither one of you will see. He will recognize behavior that the two of you won't recognize. Even if if the young man is putting his best foot forward, your husband can still smell a rat. Now, I'm saying that jokingly. He can still see what the two of you can't see. He can understand the body language of the gentleman while he's interacting with your daughter. He can tell by the inflection of his tone, how he treats your daughter when the two of you are not around. He'll be able to tell all of those things long before she gets to a point where she comes home telling you she's in love with someone, or calls you on the phone telling you she's in love. Pardon me. He's going to be able to see things that you're not going to be able to see. If she waits until she's in a relationship to introduce someone to your husband, it is too late. The question you have to ask yourself is, why would you want your husband to back off? You say because you want him to give her some room, but what it really means is you want to give her room to make mistakes. Your husband, being a father, doesn't want to see her make unnecessary mistakes. She's going to make her own mistakes. She's going to make enough of them, because we all do. If you can limit the liability of mistakes, half of the game is already won. And what you don't want to do, and unfortunately this is a trait of a lot of people, particularly young ladies, if you have a father in your life who is responsible and trying to make certain that you are treated with dignity and respect, you need to let him be active. You need to let him participate. You know, there was once upon a time, and I know you all are gonna think I've lost my mind because that's not the society in which we live, but once upon a time, parents chose for their children, and still in some countries that is the custom, but they chose for their children people that they thought would be good fits, not only for a relationship in marriage, but for the family. We've gotten away from those customs because we feel that it's more important we have the freedom and flexibility to choose who we want to choose. But if you've got God-fearing parents, you might want to let them be present in who you choose. Not because they're trying to live your life, but because they'll see things you won't see, because we get caught up in, I love you. What's love got to do with it? Because God is love. We can love you with the love of God, but it doesn't mean that it's someone that they should marry. Not because you're trying to run their life. You're just participating in their selection process. Because the person that your children, adult children, bring home to meet you someday may be part of the family. And the reality is that you don't want your daughter bringing someone home to you when it's too late to do anything about it. Meaning to have a conversation about it. Meaning to have a conversation about whether or not they would be a good fit for your child or for your family. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Terrett, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in those areas, you can order from Charles Terrett at ctshirts.com, and the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers that this week, God willing and scheduling permitted, we will have with us on Friday Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, BeccaTheDietitian.com, right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Today's Daily Divine Direction Broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. Have a great day today. I look forward to being with you in your listening and viewing environment throughout the week. God bless you. Remember, stay connected with us on our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. Like and subscribe our broadcast. And of course, every Sunday, tune in with us on our virtual